Hey everybody, welcome back. You're looking at Joey's engine here. We've got the crankshaft installed, plastic gauge everything. We've got perfect oil clearance. It is silky smooth. Rear main seal is in. You've seen me put these in before. You've seen me do the crankshaft before. We've got assembly gel on all the bearing shells. The crank is 10-10, 10 on the mains, 10 on the rods. It's in there. Very happy the way the crank came out, and we've got perfect oil clearance there. We've got some new bolts for the flywheel to connect to. Make sure you put those in before you put your crank in. And we just got to check the end play, and I'm getting some other parts cleaned up. We have to resize his rods, like you've seen me do before. The big end here is not the right size, but we've got a new old stock camshaft here. I cleaned up all the cosmoline or whatever kind of protectant was on there. That's ready to go. But before we do that, I want to take a minute and talk about valve springs, tappets, and places you could lose some performance and horsepower. So let's head over to the bench, and I'll show you what I got set up. Okay guys, what you're looking at here is a older Rimac valve spring tester. I'm going to try and do this without getting in the way. I get a lot of guys in here with engines they say just aren't performing right. They can't get can't get good road speed out of them. They feel like they got no power. Here is one of the springs out of Joey's engine. This is the best one. I tested them all, and when I'm testing, try and show you. We've got a little stopper up here, and we can put that anywhere because we want to have the same depth of squeeze. But just to do one, we're going to do two different measurements. A valve spring at 2 inches 109 thousandths is supposed to be 53 pounds. Okay, let me get you zeroed in here. Just want to show you what we're going to wind up with here when we're at 2 inch 109. I just got a caliper set up here. Like I say, if I was doing all 8, I'd set the stop. But just for this one, I want to show you. Now, we're looking for 53 pounds at 2 inch 109. Okay. There we are at 2 inch 109. We've got 10 pounds. I hope you can see that okay. That spring is shot. Weak springs are going to give you terrible performance. It just won't feel like the engine wants to move and get out of its way there. It's just bad news. Okay, now at 1 3/4 inches, we should have 120 pounds. Get that set up. Head down to 1 3/4. Okay, there we are. We've got just 61 pounds, it looks like. Hope you can see that okay, as far as I can zoom in. Got 61 pounds. Obviously, that engine was never going to run right. And I've seen guys in other shops, they'll just take a spring, they'll look at it, they'll say, oh yeah, it doesn't have any heat rings on it, it's not cracked, let's stick it back in there. Don't do that on your railhead. We only got 60 horsepower. You want to get as much power as you can out of these guys. These are new milling springs. I know there's a lot of part suppliers out there just going to send you a spring without a brand name on it, just in a bag or something. If you can find good parts, You know, I always try and source good parts. It goes a long way. I mean, you could take some of those junk springs with no name on them and test 50 of them, and you'll never get two of them that are the same. Now, just in case you're wondering, this Rimac machine has been calibrated. There's calibration springs that you can buy, and you can make sure this is right on the money. Now remember, we're supposed to be 120 at 1 3/4 inches. Got 1 3/4 inches. We're going to go down and just touch off on 1 3/4 inches. Okay, we're right there. Hope you guys can see that okay. We are absolutely perfect at 120 with this milling spring. Okay, now I've tested these all. I know they're all going to work out okay. But let me show you at 2" 109. Okay. Let's get that set up at 2" 109. Okay, and that wants to be 53. We are 53 exactly. Okay. Brand new milling spring. That's gonna act as it should. I've got 8 of them here. That's for Joey's engine. I've got another 8 for Hal's engine. All the engines I do, I try and find milling if I can, because they have been the best from what I've seen. Okay, the second place, we're going to lose performance. And I see this constantly on engines that come from other shops. I don't know why, but this is what happens. Try and get you zoomed in here. Okay, here's a tappet. Again, this is out of Joey's engine. If you look at the top, we've got the valve has been beating down in there, and we have a ridge right here. Easiest way to get rid of that, there's a package of new old stock tappet adjusting screws. You can see that okay. Split on the end so it locks in there. These aren't always available. I've got a few. I don't sell them anymore because I ran down so low on them. I just save them for my own engines. But after a while, that's going to beat down in there. Now when you go with your feeler gauge and trying to adjust this, you're going to be riding on that ridge. You're going to think you're at maybe 14 thousandths or whatever you want to set them at. You take that out. This particular one right here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but when I stick the caliper down in there, I don't know if you can see that, but that's a 6 thousandths ridge on there. Okay, so you're going to be 6 thousandths off on every valve adjustment that you make. I'm going to head over to the magnifying glass, and I hope you're going to be able to see this. Hang in there, we'll head right over there now. Okay guys, I'm trying to hold this under the magnifying light and hold the camera. Can you see the ridge on there? I hope you can. That, like I say, is a 6 thousandths deep hole in there, basically. I'm hoping you can see that okay. Might be able to catch it in the light there. Big ridge on there. Okay, so if you get in there, you feel that you have a heavy ridge on there, you've got to take care of that or you're never going to get your valve adjustment right. Okay guys, these two right here have already been ground. The third one's been ground. right there, I think you can see a good shot of that ridge right there. We got a 6/1000 ridge right there. Now you can see on your tappet adjusting screw, it's very long. You've got plenty of adjustment in there. We're just gonna tickle off maybe 7/1000 off of that. Now, kind of had to come up with a way, because these are super hard. These are glass hard, man. They're crazy. You can't file them. You can't cut them. It's they have to be ground. So I needed to come up with a way that I was happy where I can get a nice square grind. So let's head over to the machine now and show you what I got going on over there. Okay guys, what you're looking at is my old Black & Decker valve grinding machine. Now this is not the way you're supposed to use this machine, but I think I got a pretty good way of getting these tappets ground in pretty good. This is where you put your valve and usually run it on the face of the stone right there. Try and get some light on there for you. It's dark in here. So basically your valve would be spinning. I don't know if you can see, I've got the tappet in there. It's kind of small, but you can maybe see it. That'll be spinning that direction, and then we'll get the stone, and that'll be spinning that direction. So I mounted a diamond in here, and I trued up the edge of the stone here. Again, you really shouldn't be running on the side of the stone, but this is the best way I could figure out to grind these things. Let me try and get this set up, and we'll show you what that looks like. Okay, we're just going to come in with this slowly. I'm just going to walk the stone in just a little bit. And just take a tiny bit off there. Like I say, we only need to take about 7/1000. I'm going to back out and check it. That feels pretty good. Okay, let's see if I can show this to you. That is a perfectly ground surface, and I've checked it with a square. It's perfectly square to everything. The valve won't be hitting on an angle. It's dead flat. And when you put your feeler gauge in there now, you'll actually be on the tappet and on the valve. You won't have a big ridge, and you won't have 6 to 10 or 12/1000 off valves. If they're not properly adjusted and they're not moving properly in time with the engine, you're going to feel like you're driving through jello or some mud or something. You're just going to feel like you can't get out of your way because your valve timing isn't right. And that will happen if you're grossly off on your adjustment, which that ridge will give you a lot of grief. So now we've ground it, and we'll head back to the bench and put it back in the tappet. Okay guys, if you can't get your hands on new old stock adjusting screws, and you want to do it on a valve grinder like that, and you don't have a valve grinder, I don't know, maybe just head to the oldest mechanic you know in town, and or somebody that you know used to grind valves and stuff, and they should be able to set up and do that for you. You don't lose any of the hardness. These are through hardened. You could grind those. You will get an absolute perfect fit there. When your feeler gauge goes in there, you're going to get a true reading, and you're not going to have any sloppy valve performance. It's the little things like this that make a difference in an L head. And like I say, I keep telling guys, you got 60 horsepower to deal with. Don't give away torque or horsepower because you don't do steps like this. Tappets like this I see on engines that come from every shop, it seems like. Guys will bring me engines to say, hey, could you start this for me? I'll start it. And you could hear it and you could feel it when it's on the stand. It just doesn't respond. And then I go digging. Always the valves are cut wrong. Valves aren't sealing. Springs are worn out. Tappets aren't freshly ground, nice and smooth, so you're not getting a true reading on your adjustment. And you're just giving away plenty of horsepower there. So if you have an engine, rebuilt or not, it just doesn't feel right, just go in there, take a spring off, and feel that, and see if you've been adjusting the valves wrong. Like I say, I've had them anywhere from just a little bit, a couple thousandths, all the way up to 12.5 thousandths, 13. That's huge. That's your whole entire adjustment. So as long as your cam faces look good on these guys, and you can polish those up on some Scotch-Brite, as long as those look good and you get a nice flat surface here, you won't have any trouble with your valve adjustment. This is just one area to look at. There's certain things I get a ton of questions about. T90s, for sure, the transmissions. It seems like I get 10 questions a day. Guys emailing me about that stuff. I try and put out technical information on the T90s, but apparently a lot of guys aren't watching the videos. And the next biggest thing is engines and engine performance. When I did Joey's engine and I relieved the block, I got a lot of bad feedback for that. Guys, it's a whole new generation. The older generation is gone, and guys are afraid of seeing the old stuff come back again. I don't know what it is. This is like an epidemic. You could spend $8,000 on an engine from a high-end race shop. Nobody grinds the tappets. It's happened time and time again. I have never opened up an engine where the tappets were good. So let that tell you something. So just trying to bring you some tips today. If you're in the process of rebuilding your L head, these are things that you could bring up to your machine shop and ask if they're going to do it. If they look at you funny, you maybe get away from that machine shop. Same thing on the crankshafts. If nobody wants to enlarge the rear main seal area to work with the modern gaskets, these are all little tips I'm putting out there to help you guys put together a good engine that's going to last another 70 years. So, just a few tips for you today. And we're going to end this one here. I hope somebody rebuilding their L head benefits from this. Same thing on an F head. You've got the same tappets in your F head. Hope this helps somebody. And as always, thanks for watching. And we'll catch you on the next one.